Good afternoon. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. We got the Producer Price Index out today. Of course, we had the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, out yesterday, so we'll get you updated on that here. That'll be our big story here as we start and get into the story section. But we also do the Market Watch. Stocks we're paying attention to today, plus the nationals and local stories that you need to know. And folks, if you're a Peeps fan getting ready for Easter, you want to pay attention to our final story today as well. And if you're a Budweiser fan, you like collector cans, well, I got a story for you coming up here in just a few minutes as well regarding that side of things. Plus, we get some China trade stories, the Producer Price Index, all coming your way. It's reporting season out there. Let's get started with that Market Watch. Well, everything's down today for the most part. Only the Russell 2K, well, it's just flipped negative as well. Going to say that was positive just about 5 minutes ago. The Dow Jones right now is down that 236 points to 48,929. S&P 500 is down 68 points to 6891. The Nasdaq's down 341 points to 23,368 for the Nasdaq out there. The Russell 2K, that small cap index, well, it's down 2 points to 2631 for the Russell 2K. Bitcoin coming down. It's up today, I should say. It's fluctuating up and down right now. It was 97,000 just a little bit ago, but 96,934 as it has risen up over 5,000 points here in the last day or so, as it was at 91,000 going into yesterday for a Bitcoin. So Bitcoin seeing a rise here as these last couple of days have gone on. Stocks we're paying attention to right now. Well, first let's talk about Netflix out there and show you what their stock is doing. Down 2.13% right now. Netflix is dealing with this Warner Brothers Discovery bid right now, where Paramount Skydance is trying to work its way into stealing Warner Brothers from Netflix, as they were kind of the winning party there of that bid. Well, Netflix said they're preparing an all-cash $72 billion bid for Warner Brothers, and that's the Discoveries, Warner Brothers Discoveries. Now, remember, they're going after the studios and HBO Max specifically. The cable side of things, well, that would be spun off into its own company with this bid. But $72 billion is what they're putting an all-cash bid together, obviously, to kind of firm up and keep the Paramount Skydance offer out of the way here for Netflix. Bloomberg first reported the details of this offer late yesterday. And you see their stock. Look, a cash bid is completely different than a bid that does interest in loans and things to that effect. Cash bids are viewed differently out there. Obviously, not positively viewed here by the investment community. 2.20% down for Netflix today. And now we're going to look at some banking stocks out there now. Reporting season, and Wells Fargo is the first one we're going to look at here. Well, Wells Fargo is down today, 5.45%. They reported weaker than expected revenue for just the fourth quarter. Wells Fargo's top line, well, it came in at $21.29 billion. Well, everybody was expecting $21.65 billion. So kind of a big miss here for Wells Fargo. Net interest income, which is the thing that people pay attention to mostly with banks, meaning income off of loans that they have on the interest. Well, it was $12.3 billion, and that came in under estimates as well. So that's why they're down 5.43% as well. If we look at the macro here of Wells Fargo, well, their stock is up about 25% over the past 12 months. So the past year. So these numbers are disappointing for Wells Fargo, and they're down 5.43%, even though they've been up 25% over the past 12 months. Bank of America is the next one we're going to look at here as well. Also down today, 4.88% for it. They did report, though, better than expected results for their fourth quarter. Well, they earned 98 cents per share. Revenue was $28.53 billion. Analysts expected only 96 cents per share, so they beat that by 2 cents. They expected the revenue to only be $27.94 billion. They came in at $28.53 billion as well. They even had Bank of America did stronger than anticipated interest income, that line that we're looking at here. So they all positive for Bank of America, but down today 4.90% regardless for them. If we look at Bank of America as a macro for the last year, last 12 months, well, Bank of America stock is up about 13% over the last 12 months. Just like Wells Fargo up their 25% as well. But Bank of America down almost 5% here today, 4.90%, even though big, strong numbers from them. And we got a bonus one here for you, Citigroup, we're going to look at as well. They're down also today, 4.57%. They reported adjusted earnings of $1.81 per share, $21 billion in revenue for their fourth quarter. Well, the expectation was $1.67 per share, so they beat that number by a lot. And then $20.72 billion in revenue as well. The expectation was they came in at $21 billion. Revenue beat as well for them, but down 4.56% today as well. So if we look at the macro here on Citigroup over the last 12 months, well, they're up over 50% over the last 12 months for Citigroup there. So two of the three companies that reported yesterday in the banking industry beat their numbers, but all three down here today. Later on, when we come back and look at stocks as well as stocks we're paying attention to, we're going to look at travel stocks out there, that sector of things. We're going to look at Trip.com, Airbnb, Booking, and Expedia. So if you notice a trend here, we're looking at specific industries here today and what they are doing out there. So stay with us for that coming up. But first, I got to tell you, right? CPI came out yesterday, the Consumer Price Index, and it came in within expectations. 2.7% interest rate on that side. Now we're going to look today at the producer side of that, the Producer Price Index. That report did come out earlier today. And if you don't know what the PPI is, as we call it for short, well, it's a measure of final demand prices that producers get here in the marketplace. This is the important number because if this has high inflation, it gets passed along to you as a consumer as well. Well, this number, the PPI, did rise about 0.2% for the month. And interesting enough, we get these numbers, by the way, from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Well, that was below the consensus. They expected a 0.3% gain through through this reporting here coming up as well. So came in not as hot as expected. So if you want to exclude the food and energy, which makes it the core PPI, well, it was even flat on the month against expectations of a 0.2% gain. Though the monthly readings are soft, the headline PPI was up 3% from a year ago, well ahead, obviously, of what the Fed wants to see there because they want that 2% target level. So 1 percentage point higher there at 3% for the overall PPI. The core PPI excluded trade services. Well, it posted a 3.5% annual gain. And why do they take trade out as well as the volatile gas and the volatile stuff and food? Well, trade services is a big part of PPI as well. So that 3.5% annual gain for that section, well, it's the biggest 12-month move since March of 2025. A 0.9% gain in goods prices. Well, it fueled much of the PPI increase here in this reporting. 80% is attributed to a 4.6% jump in energy prices. So you see there's two specific categories driving that inflation number up, one of them being energy and the goods prices. Service prices, well, they actually were flat for this reporting as well from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So now let's look at the consumer side of things, right? Retail sales, they rose 0.6% for November. And that's according to the Commerce Department, and they're reporting here today as well. Now, that number is it's adjusted per the seasonality of it, but it's not adjusted per inflation, just so you know. Economists, well, they were looking for an increase of 0.4% in that consumer sales report. If you want to exclude autos, well, sales were up 0.5%. There was a 0.3% estimate in that line also. The November gains were broad-based. Motor vehicle and auto dealers, well, auto parts, I should say, dealers, but they're building, if you want to look at building material, garden centers, we know gas stations and sporting goods stores are, we're up as well right now. Things we're dealing with. Yeah, they're all gains. All those categories were 1% up on the consumer sales side. The BLS does remain behind schedule, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, on the PPI data, all because of still recovering from that government shutdown last year. They do a lot of surveys out there, and that's how they get these numbers. And that, what was that, 45 days or so on that government shutdown will put a pause on the reporting, and they have to catch up on it as well. So, but also the retail sales reports are lagging also from that side. So, cooler than expected reporting there as well here today on the PPI side of things. And let's go over to the number two economy in the country, or number one or number two, depending on what the economies are like. But let's look at China here, right? A lot of tariffs on them with President Trump last year, et cetera. Well, we now know China's trade surplus was a record last year. It was at $1.2 trillion, dollars, just below that $1.2 trillion level in 2025. Yeah, Chinese government came out with these numbers yesterday. Exports to other countries made up huge numbers here, of course, for the slowing shipments to the United States because of those tariffs here that President Trump has put on. China's exports rose 5.5% for the whole of 2025. It went to $3.77 trillion, dollars, is what the custom data shows. Chinese automakers and other manufacturers expanded into markets across the globe, specifically South America. We had that report about a month and a half ago on the number of South American countries taking in these Chinese goods in place of the United States. Imports, though, did flatline in China. It was at $2.58 trillion. Dollars. The 2024 trade surplus was over $992 billion dollars for China. In December specifically, China's exports climbed 6.6% from the 2024 years. And they look at these in dollar terms, just so you know, to keep them the same. Well, that was way better than the economists estimated it was. It was higher than even the November's number at 5.9% on a year-on-year increase. Ended up at 6.6%. Imports in December, they were up 5.7% year over year, compared to November's just 1.9% for China. So China's trade surplus, it did surpass the $1 trillion mark for the first time in November. That was when the trade surplus reached $1.08 trillion dollars in the first 11 months of last year. So China, imports and exports, well, imports were flat, but exports not affected here by the tariffs, as they just found other countries to sell to, is what we learned here for the whole of the 2025 year as well. And then if you're watching the economy and where money's going, money's coming out of stuff, you see the sell-off happening here on the market today, banking industry being down and tech kind of selling off a little bit as well. Well, a lot of people are putting their money into the metals side of things, and metals extended their pretty big start to the year here of 2026. Gold, silver, copper, even tin, folks, are hitting record highs. Specifically, yesterday they hit record highs, but they've had a high beginning to the year as well. Investors are putting their money into commodities because commodities are a red hot alternative to those traditional assets and kind of the unknowns of the other assets as well. And not just worldwide as well. China is leading the buying craze here with these metals as well. China, this high buying in China across multiple metals has obviously caused a lot of these upheavals and record numbers that we're seeing. But it's also at the same time as investors have been seeking safe havens, all because of the geopolitical flashpoints, right? You got Venezuela, Iran now with their protester stuff as well. And then you've got, these new things happening, right? The attack on the Federal Reserve here in terms of the lawsuit or the investigation into the Federal Reserve chairman that happened the other day. People move to those safe havens in these types of environments. How much have they jumped? Well, silver was up about 6.1%. It's now above $92 an ounce for the first time. That happened earlier today. Gold did notch another all-time peak for it. Of course, well over the 3,000 level, which was the record last year. And then tin, it's a standout among these metals. At one point, tin was up about 11% earlier today. Nickel surged high, high, high. And then copper hit an all-time high. And the interesting thing is copper, a shortage of copper actually has kind of been projected over the next few years. And same thing with nickel also. So people moving their money into these metals, and the metal prices are hitting these record highs here this morning. And they've been up this all 2026. I know we're only 14 days into it, but something to watch here as people are searching for those safe havens here in these precious metals as well. Let's get you some updates on some companies we've obviously follow here at McCollum on Business. Let's go up to the Pacific Northwest here and look at the Boeing, for instance. I had to think there for a minute. Northwest? Where I got all the ums from was me trying to look at a map in my head, right? But Boeing came in. They said they logged net orders for 1,173 airplanes last year. Why is that important? Well, it marks the first time that they actually outsold Airbus, their European rival, since 2018. So, what does this mean? It means Boeing's officially and is positively going on the positive side of that recovery that they've been working on here over the last couple of years. Boeing delivered over 63 jetliners to customers last month. So that brought its annual delivery total to 600 aircraft delivered. That's the most in 7 years for Boeing. Now, obviously, after that, the two deadly crashes overseas, Ethiopia and I think it was India, right? The other problems, that they had with the door falling open, safety stuff, etc. So they've had some restrictions here in building with safety side, but coming out of that doldrums there with the best year in seven. 44 of those deliveries were 737 Air Maxes, they said, which is their most popular airline that they make. Airbus still delivered more aircraft last year than Boeing did. They had 723 deliveries. I know we looked at those numbers about halfway through the year last year here at McCollum on Business, and Boeing was dominating then. It did get a little bit closer as the year went on. But the 793 number from Airbus, well, it's below their record of 863 airplanes that they handed over in 2019. Airbus had 889 net orders for 2025. Engine and other supply chain issues, well, that's a big problem here for these manufacturers, and that's holding up aircraft deliveries. They can't get the most important part, right? The engines in. Deliveries for key airplane manufacturers. Well, deliveries are key, I should say, for airline manufacturers. Well, because they don't get paid until a jet is actually delivered to the airline. So they build them for free, is what you're looking at. So deliveries are important to keep the flow of money going. Boeing's net orders last month totaled that 174 planes. And like I said, over 100 737 MAXs. And most of those, if not all of them, went to Alaska Airlines out there. And Seattle, Alaska Air announced last week they got 100 of them. Delta Airlines said earlier Tuesday that it ordered at least 30 Boeing 787 Dreamliners. That's the first for their order here of that big, huge plane for overseas travel. Deliveries are starting in the early 2030s for those planes. That's a sign of how airlines are locking in delivery slots into the next decade to replace the older jets that are currently out there, and then also growth of these airlines coming up. So, man, could you imagine placing? I better place an airline to be delivered in 2030 something to us. Hey, over the weekend, right? You have a 1 day left, I think, right, to actually sign up for the Affordable Care Act if you need health insurance in order for it to be available on February 1st. Of course, you had to have it done by December 15th to have it start on January 1st. And we now have numbers out there, right? We had that big thing in Congress with the extension of the subsidies. Are those going to continue? Well, that battle and everything has led fewer Americans we now know are signing up for that Affordable Care Act. And that's all that health insurance, the Obamacare, if you whether more common name for it out there. And this is all from new federal data that was released earlier today as well. The expiring subsidies, the price of it, even with the subsidies, is and the more expenses of health expenses out there. Well, it's proving too high for many people to sign up and activate this Affordable Care Act this year. So basically, 800,000 fewer people have selected plans compared to a similar time last year. That's a 3.5% drop in total enrollment so far. That includes a decrease in both new consumers signing up for those plans and even existing enrollees re upping their plans going into this year. That number is going to be worse because if you don't know, you can sign up for it and then it can start on the first and then you just don't make a payment and they cancel it on you. So, how many people signed up and they decided they didn't want to pay for it or couldn't pay for it, right? Moving forward. This data was released late yesterday evening by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. It's only a snapshot of the changing pool of enrollees as of right now. It includes signups through January 3rd in states that use healthcare.gov for ACA plans, and then through December 27th for states that have their own ACA marketplaces. So it kind of tells you the time frame we're looking at. So the last 2 weeks for people might have signed up in early January to get it started here in February. In most states, the period for shopping for plans, as I said, continues through January 15th. And that's because it starts February 1st if you get in that time frame. And then it goes away for the year on that. But big drop off on people signing up for health insurance. Mainly the price is driven it is what the issue is here coming up for that side of things. And just a quick little note here and an update. I found it's interesting. Not that Meta is beginning to cut 10% of its employees, which will be about 1,000 jobs out there. It's where they're moving it to that kind of caught my eye here in this story, right? They're moving the employees. They're cutting 1,000 jobs here, and it's from their Reality Labs division. Yes, it's moving its investment away from the metaverse products, specifically side of things. So what's happening here is the Meta is shifting their employees and their money over to the wearables side of things in their company. So it is interesting, right? They're doing a lot of AI stuff, obviously, but they're moving away from the reality lab side, right? The phones, the iPads, etc., and they're moving it to the wearable side of things. The wearable side, by the way, is losing tremendous money. This is the not just the eye watches, but the eye wearables as well, like the glasses, for instance. And they're moving more investment over to that side away from the other side. So it's an interesting move here by Meta as they continue to try to force those glasses on everybody. I know they have other things in wearables, but that seems to be the big talk for them is glasses and that type of stuff out there. So that's the interesting side of that story. Not the layoffs. We know the big tech has been doing layoffs and shifting their businesses around for the last year. It's not that they're moving it towards wearables. Is kind of what caught my eye at that point. And then finally, here's a story maybe you can get behind. Are you a collector? Do you like just American beer and beer made here in America, even though it's owned by a foreign company? Well, here's a story for you, right? Budweiser, they're popping the top, if you'll excuse the expression, on its 150th anniversary celebration. It's coming out with a commemorative 12 pack, folks. Of course, Budweiser is a classic beer brand here in America. It's releasing a limited edition Heritage Can series. It'll be a 12 pack. Hey, it's available now also. Make note of that. Each 12 pack has special can that sports one of four unique collectible can designs, if I can speak properly. So it's either inspired by those sold in the 1950s, the 80s, the 90s, or there's one specifically designed here for this year, 2026, coming up. Each is stamped with a 150th anniversary logo, and it says Made of America for 150 years. Here's the thing, the 12 packs will rotate throughout the year to include one of the four Heritage Can designs. Obviously, why are they doing that? Well, because they want you, if you're a collectible fan or a Budweiser fan, well, that means you're going to buy a lot of it or keep your eye on it to look for to collect all four of those 150th anniversary cans throughout the year. So they're not just all out now, they'll just rotate them out throughout the year. And so the 12 pack, and this is all from a news release from Budweiser, they say it's designed to take fans on a visual journey through the brand's 150-year history and answers the call of consumers begging Budweiser to bring back vintage can designs. There you go, folks. You see them on there. Yeah, there's some old school can designs on that deal. I've seen a lot of them out when I've been hiking and stuff earlier. The rare Arizona Budweiser can. There you go. Want some nostalgia? That's where you can find it here as well. We have the Peep story coming up for you guys as well. if you're a Peeps fan and you like flavors of Peeps, there you go, folks. Hey, look at that. I just noticed the Chick-fil-A cup is in the shot here today. We'll just leave that right there. When we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep the show rolling. Look back into the market. Do we have any improvement today from the negativity that we see out there on the market? We'll look specifically at the travel stocks, and we'll tell you why we're looking at those ones. And of course, local stories. Waste Management Open is coming up here, just a few weeks away. We'll give you some, if there's any updates from last year in terms of security, etc. We'll give you that little quick update. Other ones out there, then the big one I know you're waiting for, Peep flavors and where they're going to be at for Easter. We got them for you here, folks. Come on back. McCollum on Business. And we're back here, McCollum on Business, Wednesday edition. Appreciate you guys joining us here. You just saw the commercial there for the Real Matrix. We moved that show to come out on Fridays for you about 10 a.m. We'll have the new episode out for you. Episode what will be called 13 here this week. Last week, we just kind of did a reintroduction to the show here at Robat TV on their specific channel. Catch it on demand Friday at 10 o'clock here at Robat TV, of course, on the YouTube page as well. And then it does have a podcast for those of you that would rather listen to the program. That podcast, just search The Real Matrix on your favorite podcast system, Google, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, all of those out there as well for you. The Angry Patriot just asks that you have an open mind when you watch this program. I know the episode, the introduction one we did last week was focused around the 9/11 stuff out there as well. So Fridays, 10 a.m., when you'll see that all posted here for the new episode coming out for The Real Matrix. Of course, you got the main event. That is in the can for the day today. Dale Hellestray and I, 17-year NFL veteran Dale Hellestray. He makes me say that in his contract. Well, he was here earlier today as well. 8 to 10 o'clock, we have it on demand here at Robat TV right now. YouTube page, and then free podcast system. At TME Sports Show is the social media, and you can follow us at and interact with us, of course. Also, all your favorite podcast systems out there as well. As soon as we're done here, we get it on demand as well. Pit Stop, well, we're just a couple short weeks away from the Pit Stop coming back into your viewing pleasure race-based program where I get you set up on NASCAR. NASCAR, of course, Daytona 500 beginning of February gets the season away. Clash starts here in just a couple weeks. Kind of a preview to the season for NASCAR. Fun little race there. They're doing that at Bowman Gray here coming up. We have the new quote-unquote playoff format for NASCAR. They announced that on Monday. Follow me at the Pit Stop Talk, on the social medias. And, of course, you can find that program on the podcast system. Like and subscribe it for me. Let's get some numbers up there. Also, like and subscribe onto the Twitter page as well at at the Pit Stop Talk. That show's coming back here, folks. Weekly, double weekly show here of that, talking racing. F1 coming back here in March, April timeframe as well. IndyCar starts March 1st as well. First race here in March. One of the early races here on NASCAR will have IndyCar here as well out there at Phoenix Raceway. So if you're a racing fan, definitely give us a follow there. Even if you're not, but you're a fan of me, you just like the podcast and like the Twitter page for me. Just get those up as we haven't really pushed that over the last year as well. And with all that being said, folks, let's get right into the Market Watch. Like I said, tech is pressuring the market today. A little bit of a sell off again on tech. I think that's going to be a constant here to begin this season. A lot of question marks around what's being spent around AI and that tech side of things. Of course, banks also putting pressure on the market today. We showed you that here in our stocks to watch here at the beginning of the show. Dow Jones is down the 171 points right now. S&P 500 is down the 59. The Nasdaq's down 348 points as we speak, and then the Russell 2K, that small cap index, it did flip to the positive side. It's been back and forth here, but it's 7 points up here today for the Russell 2K. Bitcoin, big run up here yesterday when we were on Showtime. We did the show yesterday at 7 a.m., a morning business show for you. Well, the stock was at 91,200 and something in that range. Well, it's run all the way up here to 96,955 here today as well, between yesterday and today. So a little run up here on a Bitcoin as we are looking at that. Stocks we're paying attention to right now, I told you we're going to look at travel stocks out there. Well, the first one we're going to look at is Trip.com because they're the ones kind of flowing this travel stock stuff. Trip.com is down 17.01% right now. Reuters reported that the Chinese market regulators, well, they're investigating Trip.com. Specifically, we don't know what for necessarily, but anytime a government gets involved with the website, well, that kind of hurts things a little bit. They're down off of that news of the Chinese investigating this company. And then that means the other stocks in this travel stock area, well, they're showing weakness here today, right? Airbnb is one we'll look at as well. 6.31% down right now for it. So, there's a potential, I guess what the market's looking at is a potential China crackdown on these travel sites and everything. But not only that, we now know that in 2025, 6% fewer foreign travelers visited the United States in 2025. A lot of that has to do with tariffs. A lot of that has to do with our economy here, our economic uncertainty that we have here as well. And here's the problem. The World Travel and Tourism Council did say that trend occurred even as global tourism spending rose. And that we got that from Reuters out there. So global travel up. United States travel from foreigners down. So that's why these stocks are getting some pressure today on top of the possible Chinese crackdown on these sites as well. Airbnb down 6.33%. Next up, Booking.com also down today, 4.19% for it. And then Expedia, the big travel site out there that everybody knows, down 5.85%. Double whammy here on these travel stocks here today on this Wednesday from China, and also getting those figures 6% less foreign travel here into the United States. And even though nationally, globally, travel from foreign people was actually up, and the spending numbers was up. The dollar signs were up as well for these countries and people traveling. So not a good time to be in the travel industry, at least today here on the Wednesday. Let's get into the local stories we need to talk about as well. The WM Phoenix Open. I still call it the Waste Management there, but the official name is the WM Phoenix Open. Well, we all know, right? That's coming up here shortly. It's the beginning of February. I think the 2nd through the 8th is the dates on that. Well, it's been known as the rowdiest event on the PGA Tours, as we all know. And we know that back in 2024, right, things hit a big level with all the rain. They couldn't get people in. The amount of arrests were through the roof as well. Tournament officials, had to fix that 2024 problem. New guidelines did put that they used in 2025 did help out. Restored some order there at the WM Phoenix Open. I did not go last year because I just didn't want to deal with the things that had happened in 2024. And from what I've read and what I've heard, it's a success last year. So all those changes are officially going to remain in place this year to keep it going and the success from last year moving forward as well. Now, they widened the pathways, if you remember, which obviously means less hills, less muddy areas, which did provide solid ground. The rain in 2024 caused a lot of the problems as well. So there's a care center for families and the elderly on the course as well now to kind of get you out of that rowdy environment at times as well. They're still going away from the physical tickets. Every ticket is going to be a virtual one or on your phone as well there. And then they also said the Scottsdale Police Department, they were part of that huge effort after 2024 to rein in the rowdiness, and they had success last year. But arrests and everything were way down. They had over 1,000 service calls in 2024, and only 63 arrests. In 2024 is well over 100 arrests in that time frame. So it's coming up. They're keeping a lot of the stuff because of the successful year last year in terms of the over rowdiness out there. So maybe we can go out there and have a good time again. Those of us that I know, I'm sacrilegious. I like to go see the golf happen out there as well. So we'll keep you updated on anything else on the WM Phoenix Open as we get closer to that as well. And interesting enough, let's go from Scottsdale to space out there, folks. Yes, Arizona State University is going to play a supporting role. Yes, this weekend, SpaceX launch of a Twilight mission up into the space side of things. It's a Falcon 9, and it's a Falcon 9 launch. It'll take place at Vandenberg Space Force Base, is what I call it Vandenberg Air Force Base, but I guess now it's a Space Force Base. It's over there in California. We can generally see those launches here in Arizona as well in the sky. So what they're launching up there, it's a cereal box size ultraviolet telescope. ASU played a major role in building that. It'll be carried up into space as a part of a launch of the rocket from the Space Launch Complex 4E. Yes, despite its small size, the telescope has a big name, folks. Get this. Read this. Say this name 10 times fast. Star Planet Activity Research CubeSat. We're going to call it SPARKS for short, which is its short's name. SPARKS will help assess how habitable the space environment is for planets, specifically planets orbiting low-mass stars of the M and K spectral types. Hey, for you nerds out there that understand that, congratulations. I have no idea what that means. It makes these assessments because it's going to monitor stars' flares and sunspot activities. The telescope will collect high energy photons from these stars. It will help scientists see how stellar flares can actually change the atmosphere of a planet. We get all this information, by the way. I should give them credit here. ASU News had a great article on this in their website, and I'm sure they have a paper. ASU News also tells us that researchers at ASU designed and assembled this spacecraft's payload. That includes Spark's 15 undergraduate ASU students actually worked on the Sparks as well. So, look, a lot of people over there being launched this weekend. Good for Arizona State University's program there as well. So, nice to see a little bit of fun happen. We got an update on water here, and we got this update a little bit from the State of the State address that the governor, Katie Hobbs, did on Monday downtown Phoenix. Here is the start of the legislature session here in Arizona. And now we know that officials in the drought-stricken Arizona part of it, we're talking about the west side of things, west side of the state, well, they're moving to regulate groundwater use on the western edge of the state. Wells have been running dry out there, and I find it interesting that they're going to regulate it but not stop the abuse of water out there. And these new rules will allow for a management plan that will be formed by the Arizona Department of Water Resources. Locals will be involved in this as well, they say. But the requirements for conserving water is what the goal is here with these rules. It applies to water users in the basin, specifically, and most importantly, the Saudi Arabian agribusiness company there, Fondamonte. They draw all of their water from the basin in La Paz and Yuma counties. That's the one that grows the alfalfa as an export crop, and Governor Ducey tried to stop it. Katie Hobbs allowed it to continue and be grown there as well. So those types of water things are affecting the water use in La Paz and in those counties over there. The changes aren't going to reverse the decline of groundwater. Nah, they're not. They don't want to do that. But they are meant to slow the depletion of supplies through conservation mandates. I know how we can conserve water there. Get rid of the alfalfa field that goes to Saudi Arabia. Yeah, if you don't know, as I said, Katie Hobbs, the governor, she announced the designation of an active management area Monday during that annual address to legislature. That was the opening day of the thing, as I told you earlier. It followed a determination by the Arizona Department of Water Resources, and they determined that plummeting water levels are causing land within the Ranagrass. I had to look up how to say that. That's the Ranagrass Plain Groundwater Basin over there. They're saying the ground is sinking because of the water being taken out of it. And that's going to impact the amount of water that can be held underground. So, under the designation, water users in that Rentagrass Plain groundwater basin, they'll have to track and report its water usage back to the state. So, they're concerned about it. They want you to conserve it, but they're not going to stop the abuse of water going out there. And all the alfalfa being grown to be shipped to Saudi Arabia and their horses. Seems ridiculous to me. Hey, let's go down to Tucson here really quick and just give you an update. Those of you in Tucson know what this is. Those of you that went to Arizona know what this is. And just a quick update. I found this story kind of interesting. The Arizona State Museum, well, it's been closed for more than a year. The Arizona Board of Regents declined to act on a $50 million funding request from the university in 2024. So now what that means is University of Arizona leaders, the new ones down there, they have a new president, for instance. They say they're pursuing a different path to get that museum back opened up. Back in September of 2024, well, Arizona, the school, requested $50 million in system revenue bonds for the museum's upkeep. This includes repairs to the electric, the plumbing, the building in general. The Arizona Board of Regents declined to fund the museum at that time. Strong words, by the way. I was reading some of the quotes. Strong words from the Board of Regents on keeping that up. The Arizona State Museum is operated by the University of Arizona, but state statute puts the onus of managing the museum on the Arizona Board of Regents. They have to require the funding side of it. It's located in a historic building near Old Main down there in Tucson. The museum has been part of the University of Arizona since it became a building, right, in a university, or at least a college there in 1893. It's home to more than 13,000 years of cultural treasures, but it needs a lot of repairs, obviously. It's an older building. So now what are you going to do? You can't get the funding from the people that are supposed to fund it, the Board of Regents. Well, the university administration is working to reopen the museum in a different building and has a plan that does not depend on the original $50 million request. By the way, the Board of Regents has done fee increases on things and stuff for funding on this stuff, and they still refuse to put the funding into this deal, even though state statute tells them they have to, right? So they're going to move it into a different building that's newer. They have a plan here in 3 phases. They're going to build it up between buildings and hopefully get the funding to get this museum back open there in Tucson. And finally, folks, the story I know you've been waiting for. Easter's coming up. I personally, if like at Halloween time, if you like candy corn, I think you're a disgusting human being. I know I pushed that a little harsh. Candy corn is the grossest stuff on the planet. And I understand that people feel that way about Peeps. I, however, love me some Peeps. Yes. You guys know Peeps, right? Those sugary birds that are just a marshmallow delight. Yeah, they're coming out with some new flavors here, folks. That quite frankly, I did the Dr Pepper one last year, and it didn't taste like Dr Pepper per se, but it wasn't bad either, right? I just wouldn't buy it normally, but it got tastes like it. But they're coming up with some few bold new flavors ahead of the Easter weekend coming up here in just a few months. So they got some inspiration here, let's just say, from some breakfast staples out there. Yes, they announced yesterday, Peeps did. They're having a Pop-Tart frosted strawberry flavored marshmallow this year. And also a Sunny D flavored marshmallow chicks is what they're coming out with. The Sunny D one, I'm actually kind of curious on what that tastes like. Yes, that's coming out. It's on the shelves right now, by the way, retailers nationwide. The company said it's chili lime mango flavored marshmallow chicks. Well, they're also now available. That does not sound good to me. But if you're craving a sweet meets tangy kick, that one's for you there. That does not sound like something that I want to experience. Just Born Quality Confections. They're actually the company that manufactures Peeps and other popular candies out there. They said in a press release that they're bringing even more sweetness. Yes, they're coming out with additional offerings this season. Mike and Ike Mega Mixed Jelly Beans, Mike and Ike Easter Treats, and Just Born brand original flute flavored jelly beans are also coming out, separate of the Peeps side of things. Yes, so there's a bunch of new Peeps flavors coming out for Easter 2026. Where can you find them? Well, nationwide out there for a lot of them. There's some that are more specific. So here's some flavors coming out here. I told you about the Peeps Pop Tart Frosted Strawberry flavored ones coming out. Classic Peeps Marshmallow Chicks will still be available for those of you that just like the traditional one as well. You can get the bunnies as well this year again. Marshmallow Rainbow Pop Peeps. As I told you, Mike and Ike flavored Pop Peeps. Giant Bunny Pop Peeps. The Dr. Peppered one's coming back with those flavors here on the Peeps as well. Rice Krispie Treats flavored marshmallow chicks. That one might be good as we're talking about it. Peeps Cotton Candy flavor. The Party Cake flavor is coming out as well this year. If you want to do some sour, well, you got sour watermelon flavor coming your way. Chocolate pudding flavored. I don't know about that in a Peeps, but hey, it's something I might be interested in trying. The Peeps Delights Marshmallow Chicks dipped in milk chocolate coming your way. You got s'mores flavored. That'll also be, by the way, dipped in milk chocolate as well. Then they got the strawberry flavored marshmallow chicks. That'll be dipped in milk chocolate. Peeps Egg Hunt. That'll be individually wrapped. Mini yellow marshmallow chicks. 18 count, by the way. Peeps Jelly Beans flavor coming your way as well. That's nationwide. You can find those most places that sell Peeps. The Peeps Sunny D, though, I told you that one seems kind of interesting. Sunny D is both gross and I can't get enough of it to a certain extent. Peeps Sunny D is going to be available only at Target, folks, so keep that in mind. The Chili Lime Mango, if you like that better, well, Kroger, which is Fry's out here as well. The Peeps Easter Variety 10-pack will be at Sam's Club. And then the Peeps Egg Hunt individually wrapped mini marshmallow chicks. Well, that'll be at Walmart for you if you like the 18-count package and the mini ones for you. I don't get the mini ones. They're individually wrapped, so that's good. Because the one thing I hate about Peeps is I don't need to eat all 6 of them at once. You open it up, and then they get all hard. I know you can put it in bags and stuff, but they get all hard on you, and then they're not as good anymore. Tropical Punch flavored bunnies. Well, they're going to be at the Dollar Tree if you want the that actually Tropical Punch is some good stuff. That actually sounds good as well. I just would have to go to a Dollar Tree and if you're going to the Dollar Tree and you see Tropical Punch flavor, I'll pay you for them. Pick me up a batch of those. I want to try that as well coming up here. So, look, we're still a few months away from Easter, folks. But there you go. Get your Peeps Delight headed early here. It's only information you can find here at McCollum on Business as well. So join us. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday's edition of McCollum on Business, live at 11 o'clock as well. Catch us on demand, all of our shows on demand here at Robat TV on the YouTube page. And all the shows except for this one have podcasts out there as well. Just search the name and it pops right up for you. At TME Sports Show, at the Pit Stop Talk, at the Real Matrix as well, folks. All right there for you in terms of your podcast system. Or just check out the YouTube page and like and subscribe that as well. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Appreciate you joining me here. I'm going to go find me some Peeps now, folks. Have a great Wednesday afternoon.